Hello, welcome back to the Activation Phase podcast. This is Tim, and I'm here with JP. Hello, JP.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. So this definitely is not our second take, because we kind of forgot to talk about our voicemail, because our voicemail number is 0049 6404 8030 756. And talking about it now because we're gonna have our OG, our first ever voicemail that we got in the end, and we're going to talk about it. And it was two questions, and we're just gonna talk a bit about it. So if you want to leave us a voicemail, that was the number, and they're gonna probably pop up in the end of the episodes, just after the factions. So Thracians today, JP. When the book first came out, I think this is the faction we kind of both jumped on. It was they look aggressive, they look fast, they look kind of survivable if played correctly. Pretty good looking factions with some twists to it, I think.
Yeah, so they definitely have some special rules, which seems to be kind of like the trend for all of the Age of Alexander ones. I don't think these ones are the craziest rules in there.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, definitely. But kind of what drew me to it was like the colorful models. Like they kind of they look like really angry, crazy homeless people, basically, with crazy hats. So
just like us.
Yep. So I can respect that look. And well, when we found out they had heavy weapon warriors, we're a big fan of that. Lots of javelins. It's pretty tasty as well. And I would describe their playstyle somewhere between Vikings and Goths.
Yes, I agree.
Just a lot of attacks and then some surprising defensive abilities as well mixed in there just for fun. So this one's going to be an interesting one. I think we're probably best off just jumping straight into the faction equipment.
The Warlord. He can have a heavy weapon, or he can be on a horse. One thing that is important, he has the authority of the Priest Kings special rule. Do you want to let us know what that is, JP?
Yeah, so the authority of the Priest Kings is something only a warlord has. So basically the Thracian tribes were led by powerful Priest Kings. And essentially, when your warlord uses his We Obey on a non-mercenary unit, you can choose not to activate them, but instead add a pillage marker to the unit or remove a pillage marker if they have one. So, what is a pillage marker? All right, let's just go straight to that because otherwise it does not make a ton of sense.
Yeah.
So, once we go through the board, we'll be referencing pillage markers pretty much every single ability.
Yes.
Even the basic abilities. So this is just a token you add to your unit. And Thracian units that win a melee and whose opponent took at least one casualty during step 6 of that melee receive a pillage marker once the combat has been resolved. You never get a pillage marker if you fight levies because they're too poor and they don't have anything to loot. And you can never have more than a single pillage marker. And you can't, so you basically, it's just a token, basically like the Gaul Führer markers. So they don't have any other effects really. Yeah. But it's they turn out to be pretty damn important in the battle board abilities. So keep your eye out for those.
Right. So the rest of the equipment is Hearthguards have to be mounted on horses. Your warriors, and I think this is where the faction shines. They can be equipped with heavy weapons, great, javelins, very good, and then horses with javelins. But you can't have more mounted warriors than unmounted warriors. But I think those options definitely juicy. And then the levies have to be equipped with bows, which is okay. But I think we'll talk about levies and how they fit into the board later. But we'll talk about that soon. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So that's relatively few rules for Age of Alexander anyway.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the basic abilities. So here seems normal, however, to read a little bit. So essentially your Hearthguard warriors and levy activations are all normal except for they all count for activating units without a pillage marker for the Hearthguard and the warriors. And if they do have a pillage marker, you essentially have to activate your units as if they are levies. So I hate that. It kind of sucks. But luckily, there's some ways around it on the board. Finally, your combat bonus is the usual, so nothing special there. And same thing with your activation pool. So with that behind us, let's move to the advanced abilities.
Let's jump in. I think this is a typical top left ability. It's called Hunger for Riches. It's a melee ability. It takes a common. Gain 2 attack dice or 4 attack dice if you're the attacker and your unit has no pillage marker. So 4 attack dice, I think you can definitely pull that off a lot with just your warriors without a pillage marker, and you definitely want to be attacking with this warband. So good ability, cheap 4 attack dice on heavy weapons, always going to be amazing on javelins as well. So this is great value already.
Yeah, definitely. I think also just remember that you can switch pillage markers around with your warlord. It's probably not something you particularly want to do just to use this ability by itself.
Yeah,
but there's definitely some other places where you might just be able to pull this one off and get some pretty sweet extra attack dice for just a common.
For sure.
Moving on. So Thirst for Battle, which is played with either an uncommon or a rare. This is activation. Remove a fatigue from a unit with a pillage marker, or activate a unit without a pillage marker or up to 2 units if you use a rare for a move or a charge with a bonus distance of S. The first condition or the first activation is that you just take a fatigue away, so you can rest and then take a fatigue away if they have a pillage marker. So this is particularly good if you've won a battle or
a fight. Yeah,
that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
if you want a melee, then you can just get rid of it and then be relatively fresh for people charging you back in their turn. Being able to move or charge with a bonus of short is pretty exceptional. You want to move your warriors with heavy weapons up super quick, so it helps with this. Also, it helps you give your guys with javelins just that extra little bit of reach as well. So all around, pretty amazing. And if you get that rare at the right time, you can also get the multiple activations in there. So this is pretty good.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and you can definitely use this with your horses with javelins, right? So having a threat range of like 22 inches for your javelin riders that's gonna be very, very annoying to stay away from. And that's just one activation. Like they won't even end there with a fatigue like you normally would or something. But it's just this is definitely very, very good. I like it.
Yeah, right. I think I was playing this pretty much every turn. I mean, there's no reason you can't. I'm not sure I put down a rare here because I wasn't rolling that many rares, but yeah, it's definitely worth it.
Rares are good on this board for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Next up is Form Ranks, a uncommon melee ability. Defenders on foot. Discard half your attack dice. You benefit from solid cover during this melee. So this is like pseudo closing ranks. It costs a die, which usually closing ranks obviously doesn't. This is just like you were in solid cover, like in a ruin or something. And this can definitely make a big difference on a unit that, I don't know, just fought 12 warriors, they smashed something, and then your heavy weapon warriors suddenly out in the open can kind of close ranks once. Not too bad. Not too bad at all.
Yeah, also, this doesn't have the negative effect if you're getting charged by elephant.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So that's a good little one. Not that you want to be charged by an elephant, but normally that's
in this book you will be. Yeah, in this book you will be. Yeah.
So at least you can do something about it. Like you do lose half your dice though, and you have to.
Yeah, I like it.
But this is one of the few defensive abilities as well. So,
yeah. But you can definitely get your dice back with this board quite easily, I think. So, yeah, might be worth it lots of times.
Yeah, especially because all your warriors are defense 3 and in melee, so you kind of want to keep them alive a little bit. All right, so the next one is Elusive. This is a common or a rare. This is a shooting ability. So for a unit with javelins, so you gain 2 bonus attack dice. Once this activation is resolved, you can activate your unit to move. If you use rare, this movement generates no fatigue. Right, so this is one of my favorite abilities, especially with the, I played with a lot of javelin warriors, and this just makes a unit be used super efficiently. You move up, you shoot with your free shot, and then you can just activate this one again and run away. And it's actually pretty efficient.
I think this one is great. Because there's 2 playstyles to do with this, right? You run in, you shoot, you run away. But I think what I would do with this is I run in, I shoot at a target that maybe I don't really care about, and then I run in further because I can run in without fatigue if I use the rare. And then I'm 6 inches further in their lines already, and having those 6 extra inches is definitely gonna allow me to charge a more juicy target. So I feel like this can make you really fast, even if it might not be intended that way.
Yeah, definitely. And also this unit with javelins as well, so it works both on the mounted and the guys on foot.
I like it.
It makes your mounted guys super quick.
Yeah. Damn, that's really fast. Because they can move for like 16 inches with Thirst for Battle with the extra distance of S, and then Elusive allows them to move like another 12 inches. So you can, as long as you like string around your opponent kind of, you can move really far. I like it.
Yeah, you will be ending up with a little bit of fatigue though, because if you're shooting for the second as your second actually no, because you can do this when you're doing the free shot. So
yeah,
that works pretty well.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's a good one.
It's a good one. Right, next up is Protect the Loot. It's a melee or shooting reaction ability that can take any dice facing. Reroll all 1s and 2s rolled on your defense dice, or all unsuccessful defense dice if you use a rare. If your unit has a pillage marker, you can discard it. If you do so, automatically cancel up to 2 casualties suffered by your unit after all defense rolls have been made. So, with a common or uncommon, you're gonna if you close ranks with form ranks, you can't really close ranks, but you get solid cover. This is gonna protect you against a lot. The enemy has to push through lots and lots of attacks to actually do something to you, because these 2 automatically cancelled casualties, they are so good. I think, JP, you love the Goths, and they have it as well, and it's just so good, right?
Well, this one's a little bit more difficult to pull off because you do need to have a loot marker.
Sure.
But that's we referenced it earlier in terms of having your warlord put a marker on a unit. So this is probably one of the first abilities you really want to move that you want to move that pillage marker and put it on a unit just to cancel those hits. It requires a little bit of coordination, but yeah, it's totally worth it for saving some guys, even if you're just using the common dice on this.
Yeah. Yeah, to be honest, you want to be aggressive anyway. Like, I don't see myself using the authority of the Priest King to put a pillage marker on my units. I see myself charging the big blocks of warriors in, taking a target down, getting a pillage marker, and then sitting there and taking all the hits they want to take because they have a pillage marker and they can do this.
Yeah, definitely. Like you would hope that they already have one, but sometimes you charge in your 12 warriors, and then they still somehow manage to mess up. So
I can't relate. No.
Yeah, all right. No. So the struggle is real for some of us. But yeah, this one's a solid one. Also, just I don't think you need to use the rare for this one, but it definitely makes it incredibly good. But yeah, just being able to use every dice facing, it's a ability that gets used every single turn, basically.
Yeah, but I think if you know you're going to use form ranks, the rare is not going to be worth it on here. But if you don't have the form ranks or don't want to use it, the rare is going to be so good on here for sure.
Yeah, I think the way I end up using it was not comboing it, because normally you get charged like one or more than once in a turn.
Right. Yeah.
So you can really have kind of spread a little bit of defense. The form ranks is slightly weaker than this ability, but you kind of like half save one unit and then almost make the unit immune with protect the loot. So it does give you actually a lot of flexibility on this board, considering
fair
everyone's armor 3.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah.
All right, I get to take the next ability,
Nice.
which is I know, which is called Rumpaye.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah. It's the double-handed sword that they're referencing. So this is using an uncommon or a rare. It's a melee ability, so a unit with heavy weapons. So gain 3 attack dice, 6 if you use a rare. All right, so lots of just a nice simple one.
Yeah.
It's solid. I'm not sure I would use the rare on this one and as the first one or the first go-to, but sure, it does make your guys pretty deadly. But even for 3 attack dice, it's pretty solid. Not amazing. I think my preference would go for Hunger for the Riches, because that's just a common, and you're getting 4 attack dice if you don't have a pillage marker.
Yeah, right. I think the commons. Dice economy wise, I think the commons okay, and if you roll too many rares, this is going to be great. But there's just from looking at this, I think there's situations where there's 2 abilities on here that definitely want the rare more. One would be the protect the loot, for a unit that can't have solid cover this turn, and then one of the abilities that is still coming up, I think that one also really likes the rare. So yeah,
even Thirst for Battle being able to activate 2 units with the
still very good.
with the rare, like that's even I would prefer that to getting 3 extra attack dice. But so it's like I'm sure people would use it every once in a while, but it's okay. It's probably the least interesting one so far.
I mean, it's still cool to have it, because if you really need to load up an attack, this is the way. This is definitely the way. This and Hunger for Riches, and this can definitely get you lots and lots of attack dice. Right. Next up is Wedge Formation. It takes an uncommon and a common dice. It's an activation ability for mounted unit. Activate one of your units for a charge. Your opponent must reroll the number of successful rolls equal to half the number of models in your unit. So, yeah, definitely best use on a 12 stack of warrior units with javelins on horse, of course. And the book kind of clarifies this, that the successful rolls mentioned in the ability have to be defense rolls. So it's going to hurt a lot if your opponent has to reroll 6 of their successful saves, especially if they can't close ranks. That's basically going to kill everything. So not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah, it's also the only 2 dice ability on this board.
Yeah, which we like. We don't like 2 dice abilities, so having just one sounds good.
Yeah, definitely. Also, there's no. One interesting way of using this is actually on a unit that already has a pillage marker, because this doesn't have any kind of stipulation in terms of it does or does not need a pillage marker.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes it relatively okay, because you get the kind of the charge for free, in quotation marks, in this ability. So it makes it like you kind of have a way around it.
True.
Yeah, but it's nice. Then obviously with your I think, like you said, big block of warriors mounted with javelins.
Good times for sure.
Okay, so the next one is Avarice. Again, this is an ability that can be used with all 3 dice facings. So this is an activation reaction. Trigger this ability after an enemy unit has been activated to rest, but before the activation is resolved. Activate a unit without a pillage marker for a charge that must target the activated enemy unit. If you use a rare, your unit gets 4 bonus attack dice. So this is the first activation reaction on the board. Always a big fan of that. This is super situational. I'm not sure if you have like a unit of 12 warriors with heavy weapons within charge range that anyone would think it was a good idea to rest their unit. Would probably move away first or decline to rest the unit. So yeah, this is I don't know. I'm not sure how often this is going to get pulled off because I didn't manage to pull it off, but I haven't had a massive amount of practice yet. I think this would be pretty nasty if you're relatively close to a warlord or something that would definitely want to rest. Anything that's exhausted, you can essentially guarantee that either they give you a charge in their turn if they want to rest, or you can make sure that they keep the fatigue for when you want to charge them in your turn. So some interesting dynamics there. However, I think it requires a little bit of planning to pull off.
Sure, I think one thing to keep in mind is if I usually build warbands that take or generate 7 dice. So turn 1 would be me just putting a dice here and just keeping it, because in combination with the next ability that we're gonna talk about, this you can have a successful charge, gain a pillage marker, do some damage, and then in their turn they can try to rest, and then you can just by having this on here, they will not rest that unit, and your warrior unit is gonna kind of have a meat shield because the opponent's unit cannot, like, they will have to move with their fatigue still or rest, and then you can attack again. So I think this can kind of screw with your opponent's plans, which is always powerful. And just having a dice, just leave it on here for the game, I don't think is too bad.
No, definitely not. Also, yeah, if you've got your mounted guys, they can, yeah, the range which they can kind of have the board control is pretty big.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, for sure.
like that's like it's a
Yeah.
pretty large chunk of the battlefield where people don't want to rest anymore or be prepared to get charged straight away. So
And that's kind of devastating. I think fatigue is so strong, like having, or makes you so weak if you have a fatigue on your own unit. So kind of denying the rest is nice if you can pull it off.
yep, definitely.
Next up is Depredation. It's an uncommon. It takes an uncommon dice, and it's an orders or orders reaction ability. Choose a friendly unit with a pillage marker and discard that marker. Until the end of the turn, this unit increases its armor by +1 and has a determination special rule. So, I think this has perfect uses in your own and in your opponent's turn. If you do it in your own turn, that's nice. They get determination, great. They get +1 armor, great. They discard their pillage marker, which is usually also great for the offensive abilities on here. And if you do it in your opponent's orders phase, this is very good on a unit that had a successful charge in your turn, and kind of they sit there with their pillage marker, and this is a great ability to kind of prepare for Everest, the ability we just talked about, to charge a unit that wants to rest, because you can put your pillage marker away and also gain the +1 armor. So even if you have your fatigue from last turn, you can still charge in and kind of pretend like you don't have your fatigue, and the opponent's still going to have the fatigue. So not too bad. Not too bad.
No,
It's a good ability.
Yeah, I think so as well. And also being able to keep the +1 on your armor, even in the orders reaction phase, kind of makes up for losing the pillage marker, because then you can't use protect the loot to its full potential.
Yeah.
So it makes up for a little bit, but yeah, like you. Yeah, I mean it's definitely a solid ability for just the uncommon, like a 1 dice. You basically get a lot of actions for a single uncommon.
In the orders phase, if you play it in your own turn, it's like 3 important things: lose the pillage marker, get +1 armor, and get determination for an uncommon. That's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Also, it's a way of moving your warriors with an uncommon, because sometimes you just don't roll enough commons.
Because shit happens.
Yeah, especially I think we'll talk about our ways of building our warbands later. So
Yeah.
this might come in use. All right, so the last one, the bottom right one, is called Insatiable. This is using either a common or an uncommon, an activation. So activate up to 2 units without pillage markers, or discard the pillage markers from up to 2 of your units and then activate them. So this is insane amount of value for a
It's
common.
so good. It's so good.
So I think this definitely checks the box. Like we like our multiple activations. We definitely like our multiple activations on a common.
Absolutely.
Without any stipulations. Like you don't have to be like warriors. You don't have to be like a mounted guy with a javelin. Like this is just good. So yeah, this is super solid. I think I use this one every single turn because why wouldn't
As you should. Yeah.
There's no downside whatsoever.
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah. The only thing is you can't use it on mercenaries, but who the fuck wants mercenaries if you have your Thracian heavy weapon and javelin squads?
Exactly. It's a complete non-issue.
Yeah.
All right, so
So good.
yeah, okay. So I think we're pretty pumped about this. Should we go straight into maybe our kind of warband composition, and then we'll have a look at the ruses?
That sounds perfect. Yeah. I don't think we differ too much. For me, it's probably gonna be 5 points of warriors and 1 point of Hearthguard. And having my warlord on a horse usually is probably gonna be my go-to. Maybe with heavy weapon just to have it, just to bring it, and then just pick the warriors you need. If you know your opponent's gonna have a lot of horses, pick your horses with javelins. If you know your opponent has a lot of javelin dudes, pick your horses with javelins, or just javelins because you screwed up terrain and you can't take the horses. And if you know your opponent's gonna have lots of units that can close ranks, just take 5 points of heavy weapon warriors. it's yeah. That would be my way, I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. So you're right, we don't differ very much. I was thinking about 1.5 points of Hearthguard.
Ooh, daring maneuver.
I know. And 4.5 points of warriors. So
yeah,
I think that's probably going to be a fun little list. Also, what you said, it's really just down to how much warriors you want to paint to make it as flexible as possible. So currently, I am building 4.5 points of javelin warriors, 4.5 points of heavy weapons warriors. I think that's probably overkill. So I think you probably want like a mix a little bit. And then
to be honest, I think having 3 points of heavy weapons, 3 points of javelins, and 3 points of horses with javelins is kind of what you want to have.
Yeah, I'm not painting 3 points of warriors with javelins. So I'm limiting myself to just one point of warriors with or mounted warriors with javelins because I just can't see myself painting more horses.
Just do 12, man. Just do 12. You need 12. If you do 8, you're never going to use them. You need to do 12.
I might just throw in some Welsh. I mean,
fair enough.
Thing, right? All right, I think we've lost a few Age of Viking players here. That's fine. And
it's okay.
Some Age of Viking purists. But anyway, so yeah, is there any out of the box kind of unit or warband compositions that you think would also work? Maybe that's not super optimized for tournament play.
Yeah, I think a full 2 points of Hearthguard on horses might still work. With the wedge formation and with being a huge threat through avarice if your opponent wants to rest anywhere within 12 inches of them. So that might be something that you might want to do, but I'm not super sure.
Also they're pretty survivable with protect the loot, right? So
absolutely, yeah.
I think there's ways of protecting them.
Yeah, you definitely need to put a rare on there if you want to do the 8 stack of Hearthguards. But yeah, that, and maybe levies, but I don't see any reason to take levies really, because they can't fight. They have bows, and there's literally no ability on here that supports bows in any way. So I think warriors and Hearthguards with a hefty lean towards warriors is just it's just the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think even one point of levy is probably not the end of the world. You can activate them using Insatiable, because they probably won't get a pillage marker because they're not going to be in melee. So you can kind of do that if you really want to. I mean, you have so much better and more flexibility just taking warriors. That's kind of the issue.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, if you have 3 options for your warriors, so you can really just go nuts and do that. You tend to be pretty solid for most scenario play as well in terms of scoring and conquest points and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, like I think just get ready to paint a lot of warriors, guys.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Yeah. Many warbands, and I think that we've talked about the Carthaginians being able to do this, and I don't know, maybe someone else. But these guys, they can play basically every scenario because on deployment they can decide who they want to be. Do they want to be like copycat Welsh, or do they want to be Norse Gaels appreciators? Like it's very good.
Yeah, very definitely. All right, should we move on to the ruses?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll take the top list.
Off?
Yeah, sure thing. So we're starting off with the recruitment one. So this is Thracian Kingdom. So up to half your warrior figures can be given no optional equipment, and your levies can be equipped with javelins. When a melee ability from your battle board grants attack dice to an infantry unit, you must replace all these dice with the same number of defense dice, and you gain 1 additional defense dice. So this is kind of a really weird way of playing the board, but you do become pretty damn survivable if you're taking the kind of like the warrior spam that we're talking about.
I mean, sure. I hate this. If like with every fiber of my body, I hate this because all the attacks that I would usually generate will just be measly defense dice, which I hate.
Yeah, but then they basically become like Scots or something. It's going to be insane.
You're right, of course. But
why would you want to play that? I don't understand. So this is really weird, but
it's weird. Yeah,
it'll definitely.
But it's definitely like a whole different battle board. It's like a whole different playstyle. Your levies with javelins, they're going to be they're going to be good. They're going to be good with this board, and then the warriors with no equipment options are going to be good. So definitely interesting.
Yeah, you're right, because I guess your levies are actually pretty easy to activate with the multiple.
Insatiable, elusive, yes.
Yeah. Interesting, but yeah. So basically, we're gonna have to think about this one because this is really gonna mix up everything. Could be pretty confusing to play.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. Right. Next up, the other recruitment, 1 coin ability, Bastarnia or something, maybe Bastarne. Sounds great. Your Hearthguard figures can be equipped with heavy weapons, but your warriors can only fight from horseback or equipped with heavy weapons. Your levies can be equipped with javelins. I like this one. The being able to do heavy weapon Hearthguard is okay. Maybe they're not as great as warriors, but it's okay. And then the can only fight from horseback part, I think that excludes having javelins. So that's maybe not that great. But yeah, your levies can have javelins, which is pretty good. So for that alone, it might be worth it. And having Hearthguard that can kind of accompany your warlord that also can have a heavy weapon into terrain might not be too bad.
I think this might also actually be a way of being able to justify using the Victrix Dacian kit with a few modifications, because it kind of leans more towards like the like this I guess Proto-Germanic or something tribe group. So I think if you're really focused on that, you can probably get away with it, and it's only 1 coin and it completely mixes up the playstyle. So it's definitely interesting.
But the thing is, this isn't optional. If you pay for it on a tournament, then you'll have to do this every game. So I'm not sure. I'm gonna like it because losing the javelins on all my warriors, even if I can use the Victrix kit better, might not be worth it to me.
I'm just saying some people attach different
Yeah,
weights
I
to
know.
different parts of the
I
game.
know. I know.
All right.
Yeah.
So the next one is a preparation one. So it's ambush. Use this card once. Use this card once the warbands are finished deploying, but before the start of the first turn. Remove one of the infantry units you deployed and place it entirely within an area of uneven terrain that's more than L away from all enemy figures. So this is 2 coins. Definitely mixing up, and you get to get in someone's face pretty quickly, to be honest. Oh, not bad. I haven't read. Yeah, 2 coins. It's okay.
I think this might be worth it on some mercenaries as well, because it's just any infantry, and then your infantry with javelins. Probably gonna love this. And then next up is Marauders. It's a veteran, where veterans ruse, Hearthguards, and warriors. At the start of each of your turns, before rolling your Saga dice, you can give your unit a pillage marker if it doesn't already have one. So, I think for the tactical flexibility this can provide, it might be worth the 2 points. But in actuality, I think in a game, this is very hard to pull off to make sure that the specific unit that you gave this to in the beginning of the game, before the game even started, needs the pillage marker right now and not someone else. So yeah, if you're smart enough to play with this, might be good. But like if you're just like us, then this might not be worth it for 2 points.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so the next one is a stratagem. It's called Thracian Peltas. Use this card during enemy unit's charge activation, but before the charge is resolved. Activate one of your infantry units equipped with javelins for a shooting attack with 1 bonus attack dice. No Saga abilities can be triggered during this activation. Once the activation has been resolved, activate your unit for a move that generates no fatigue. I mean, it's good.
Very good.
2 coins. You can only use it once, but yeah, if you're getting charged by some cavalry or something like that, then yeah, it's pretty tasty. And then hopefully you can also run away out of charge range. So yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, I think the cavalry will have the easiest time avoiding this ability, but the foot units, they will hate this. And keeping this is basically just another way of keeping one of your armor 3 melee warrior units safe.
Yeah, definitely. It's not like the other one, the Marauders, where you have to decide at the beginning of the turn, like what's doing what. This one's kind of like, oh, I messed up. I can try and save myself a little bit here. So that's always good.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, last ruse is Night Attack. Use this card at the start of the first player's first turn. There can be no shooting until the start of the second turn. Yeah. If you are the starting player, this is god tier good. That you can just move everything up into shooting range, like into Persians or I don't know, Indians or something that want to shoot.
Or Numidians or Carthaginians or anything really.
Yeah. You can just move up and they're not allowed to shoot. But if you are the second player, this is near useless because they're probably not going to be in range to shoot you anyway, or maybe just it's going to be very rare that this is going to be worth it for you. And then so when they get their second turn, this is gone, so they can just shoot you. So 2 points for only working half of the time, because half the time you're going to be the first player. And then this also only works for scenarios basically that have you deploy like L away from each other, because if it's more than that, I don't think this would come into play that often. So this is 2 points for something that is going to work like 30% of your games, maybe 25. I don't know if that's worth it.
Sure. Okay, so that's the ruse is done. Let's maybe talk about the model options. This one is one of the few warbands in Age of Alexander which is not covered by a Victrix kit straight away. The there are
Yeah,
some
yeah.
ways of getting around it a little bit. So you'll recognize them by their funny hats and by their kind of moon-shaped shields. So what I'm doing currently is I bought the Victrix Dacians, or the double-handed Rompia weapons, basically.
Yeah.
And I bought the Greek Peltas and Slingers kit.
Yes.
There's, I think there you get an insane amount of models. I think 48 or something. They kind of have like the bare legs and the little boots and stuff, and the little, I don't know, little tunics, whatever.
Yeah.
So there you can just mix and match everything, and you have more than enough models to fully kit out the 4.5 points of warriors with javelins. And then I kind of did some things sacrilegious and used some of the guys with trousers. Oh my gosh.
No way.
I know.
Right.
Used some of the Dacians with trousers and gave them the heavy weapons, because like they're a little bit fiddly to get like the arms matched up nicely. While you're like, if the body is not kind of made for it, like there's a lot of used a lot of plastic glue to get things to
Right.
look
Beautiful.
reasonable on the Greek Peltas kit. But it is possible, but it's a bit of a pain. And then I bought the Greek the Victrix Greek light cavalry kit. That also comes with some quite a few extra helmet options as well, so you can mix in some helmet heads in there, so you're not using like the Dacian stuff. So I think you end up buying a few kits, but you can mix and match everything relatively well, and then it kind of comes out to looking reasonable and in plastic. So just putting as many cloaks as possible on everyone, since that seems to be something people have agreed to say that Thracians need to have cloaks for some reason. So
yeah.
I just put that on them, and then I'm just green stuffing some of the kind of the weird pointy hats on some of them as well. Although I'm pretty sure you can use the Persian if you have some friends who are doing Persians. You can probably borrow, or you can probably get them to give you some of the extra hats, heads with hats on it.
I think from the Persians you can also use the hats with the headband type thing. There's also illustrations of the Thracians with the headband. And then the phallic looking like the Phrygian cap looking head is also good. And then the shields are also in the Persian kit. So if you need some more,
the
might
Greek
also work for you.
Peltas, they also have that shield. Not quite enough for everything, but
Right,
I think, like with a little bit of scavenging, you should be okay.
Oh yeah, and one important thing: every like third guy needs to have a dead head in his hand. That seems to be the theme the old metal models in the book are going for.
Yeah, definitely. So talking about those are actually from Foundry, like Foundry Miniatures, or sorry, War Games Foundry. That's the one. So that's a really
Right.
really old line, but I actually think they look really nice. It's just it was a little bit expensive getting them kind of ordered, especially because I wasn't sure kind of how I wanted to organize my warband, and I think they're missing like kind of heavy cavalry for the Hearthguard and the Warlord, the Mounted Warlord. So you can't get everything. I'm pretty sure you can kind of throw in some Macedonian successor cavalry and kind of convert them up a little bit, but it would require some work. But the models themselves look pretty solid, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure the Macedonian heavy cavalry is the right one, because they have like the nice kuras, right? The big metal chest piece, but maybe that's right. I have no idea, to be honest.
Yeah, me neither. But
Nice, cool. Yeah.
I think you can probably get away with it. Other ways, they're just because they seem to be pictured or kind of depicted as being kind of like a thieving, marauding, looting warband. So at some point, they killed some Hearthguards, stole their stuff, and then now they're
right.
they have some extra equipment, basically.
Yeah. Right. So out of 5 double-handed long sword type weapons, how many would you give them?
I would give them a solid 4 out of 5 floppy hats.
Yeah, Cool. Yeah.
I think, I think they're probably one of the more distinctive looking warbands out there as well, because like you're not kind of painting up a super uniform Greek phalanx or something. These guys are a little bit more ragtag. They're a little bit like I guess if you like playing Welsh or something like that, they probably fit more into your play style.
Mhm.
I think they're also, with all the equipment options, it's not like you're stuck in one play style. So I think you're going to get a lot of fun and a lot of mileage out of this warband. Although you're going to have to paint a lot of warriors. So.
And then with the recruitment cards, the recruitment ruses, you can basically pretend like you're two different warbands again. So I think
So if you really like painting a ton of models, you can do that.
there's a lot here to justify painting 150 warriors. Yeah.
Yeah. So good luck with that if you choose to go down that route. Yeah. No, I think they're super flexible.
Yeah.
Much more so than the Macedonians, which we covered last time. And then also just being like just the massive amount of options just keeps you pretty safe and pretty solid, whatever the situation.
I think we'll have to see how they perform in the future, but they're a 4.5 for me out of 5 because they have two good multi activations. They have an activation on the opponent's turn that's going to be very oppressive. They have two very good defensive abilities. They have only one ability that I only wouldn't use. Like that's not going to come into effect every turn. That's the activation reaction with the fatigue thing. I think this is having 9 abilities that you all want to play. That usually makes for a good army.
Yeah, definitely. I think the pillage marker mechanic makes it maybe a little bit tricky the first few times you play it, but once you get the hang of it and you understand when you can or cannot use something, it makes it a little bit easier. But I think they kind of managed to get around that with some of the activations on the board, being able to remove village markers and multiple activations, stuff like that. So it's not the end of the world, but it's definitely something you need to master.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
All right, cool. I think we're pretty positive about this one. So maybe let's move on to the voicemail.
Yeah.
Hi, Activation Podcast. Here is Florian from the Asgard Aschaffenburg Club. One of my hot takes is many people don't get the games in the game, meaning the fatigue game and the terrain game. So it would be great if you guys can emphasize on this a little bit in one of your chats. Listen to you, enjoying playing against you, and hope to see you in one of the next tournaments in Germany. Have a great day, and see or hear you soon. Bye.
Right. So just quickly, I saw him like 2 days ago at the tournament. A super nice guy, and I think he sent that voicemail in like 2 or 3 days after he beat me at a tournament. So I was kind of devastated, but he's amazing, super nice, and I think there could not have been a better time to talk about this voicemail than while we have the Thracians out with their equipment options being able to kind of tail around the terrain that actually was set up, and their ability with the fatigue removal and fatigue punishment on the opponent. So, JP, do you want to start us off with how important terrain is to you?
Yeah, so I think if you go back to one of our first episodes when we were talking about a tournament report.
Yes.
And I distinctly remember
Me too.
Just being like screwing myself over with terrain placement and not being careful and not thinking about it. So I'm pretty happy to announce that I feel like I've made a significant step up in my terrain game. I'm not saying I'm particularly good at it, but I think that kind of like the next step of my journey was that I'm not actively screwing myself over with it. So a few things that we keep talking about is really understanding what your warband actually wants to achieve in the game. For example, you do it very well with your Huns. Like you basically put down the large smooth hill, and try and deny as much of the board any terrain as possible, and you do that because you essentially don't want people to put down more than one kind of like piece of either soft or hard cover in their own deployment zone, because you want to be able to shoot them with your composite bows. And it also gives you a nice smooth area to run your horses over and hide behind.
Yeah.
I think probably one thing that you want to think about as much as possible is like just grabbing the ruins as quickly as possible, since there is only one set of ruins per table in the terrain table as well.
The rocky ground does the same, right? It's just not high.
Yeah, it does the same, and sometimes it is nice to be able to hide behind it as well.
Yeah.
So I think just being, I think with Saga, really, like the terrain is such a gigantic piece of the game itself. I don't understand why people do preset terrain. For me,
so, it hurts so much.
Like it really doesn't take that much time to set up, and it has a gigantic impact on the game itself. I would say it's probably, I don't know, at least 20-30% of the game itself.
And I'm not even sure if that's enough, because so many warbands, they need a specific set of terrain to work. And if you have preset terrain, that kicks out like 40% of the warbands out of their best that they could be performing. It's insane. So building your warband, you should be thinking about how being first or being second player through the universal like deployment method of terrain, how you can like what you're going to put down, what's going to be good, what's going to be bad for you, and a strategy to kind of play around the worst case scenario that can happen. So with my Huns, that meant I needed to take guides, because if worst case scenario was my opponent started and put down two big pieces of terrain that I like with cover that I couldn't stop. So the guides were kind of the only way to stop that from happening and move their stuff away. And I think before you go into the game, you need to think about the scenario and what your warband can deal with and what they can't deal with, and then definitely do terrain according to that. And I think 30% at least. I think it's super important.
Yeah, I think one part is like what you said, what your warband wants, and the other part is also denying the advantage of the opponent. So, for example, the famous thing is the Normans and their volley fire ability. Especially if you're playing like mounted faction, that's truly devastating if you don't manage to place like a high piece of terrain somewhere on there, for example, some woods or
smooth hill.
I think a large,
perfect.
Yeah, like a smooth hill, even a large wood is acceptable, and just breaking up the table so you can always hide somewhere. Like you can't hide all the time, but you can probably get rid of like 90% of the shooting. So. Or make sure that they have to deploy their unit of archers somewhere that's not optimal for them. And maybe, for example, is an open terrain if they want to get any shooting, or they have to activate multiple times to get into the terrain piece so they can shoot out of it, something like that. So you make it difficult for them as well to kind of attain the conditions that they want to achieve.
Yeah, it's terrain, huge part of the game. I think we both agree. And terrain, I think it was you that said that terrain can definitely make you feel like you're playing 2 against 1 if you fuck up your terrain. That's gonna be an extra opponent you need to battle. So that was the first part of the voicemail.
That's the first part. I think the fatigue game, that's pretty really depends. That's a little bit of an easy answer, but for example, with the Goths, I think Florian also plays the Visigoths as well.
He beat me with them, yeah.
Yeah, they're that's just 100% fatigue game. I think we would probably have to just dedicate a episode to this or something.
At some point,
I think
we have to.
So highly dependent on which faction you're actually playing and what they can do.
And there can be a lot of math involved in using fatigue, not using fatigue, and all that stuff. So I feel like that's definitely something we have to dedicate some more time to than just like the 3 minutes we would be here. So yeah, Florian, terrain. I hope we agreed with you, but and fatigue, of course, we agree with you as well. But fatigue will have to wait some more because that's a big topic.
Yep, and also good to mention that Florian organized a number of tournaments down by, I guess, close to Frankfurt.
Yeah, very, very close to Frankfurt, easily like reachable by going to Frankfurt Airport.
Yeah, so I think just keep an eye out for the Aschaffenburg tournaments. And they also, like Florian and Bjorn, travel quite a lot to tournaments as well. So they visited the Benelux Grand Midi in October, and Bjorn actually won that one.
Legend.
Yeah, absolute legend with his Saracens. So quite surprising there. So super nice guys, super chill to play against, and it's also good to just go out and go to some of the bars in Belgium with them and kind of catch up outside of the Saga tables with them. So super great guys to have around. All right, so thanks a lot for the message, Florian, and hope to see you soon in various tournaments.
Yeah.
Always competing for the top tables there. So I think I've normally got some. I've been slapped down by both the Aschaffenburg guys in various tournaments. So
sounds about right. Right. So I think that sums it up for this episode. Thank you very much, Florian, for your voicemail. Thank you very much, JP, for this great episode. It was fun. And what warband do you want to do next? Do you have an idea?
All the other warbands require significant studying.
Yeah.
Like going through all the different equipment options,
I
all
agree.
the different sub factions. I think we're gonna have to take the plunge and just go. I'm calling it right now. Let's do the Indians next.
Yes, I wanted to do the Indians. Let's go. Perfect. All right. Let's go Indians next. Great.
Okay. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you guys later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.